In the summer of 1980, Joan and I attended a communal living week at the intentional community called Twin Oaks. It had about 90 members. The entire week was based on the book from B.F. Skinner called Walden 2. Individuals from all over the country learned about how to do community kibbutz style. The membership was in the Federation of Egalitarian Communities. Joan and I visited several Federation communities, including Dandelion and Kingston, Ontario. We also visited East Wind Community in northern Missouri. We became really enthralled with communal living. However, these communities couldn't accept all of our pets or family. We had 3 dependents, and every community needed to keep its dependency ratio under 20%. Joan and I did the next best thing. We started a new community called Chrysalis within the Needmore community. It lasted about 4 years from 1980 to 1984. And overall, the best aspect of the community was the flow of visitors from other communities. One interesting thing happened at Chrysalis that is really pretty well known. A mother buffalo and her calf were corralled close by, close to what was called Star Farm in Needmore. Occasionally, the larger adult buffalo would escape, standing in the middle of the gravel road, perhaps late at night, to surprise unaware drivers. The Land family remained in charge, and this may have been a problem for Chrysalis. Also, another problem was the rustic living off the grid. We didn't have adequate sleeping spaces. We were always short of funds. During the same time, I was involved in peace activism in Bloomington, reducing nuclear weapons. I was a main speaker in a program called Remembering Hiroshima for about 250 people. My mentor and colleague at the time was Dr. Ernest Sternglass from the University of Pennsylvania. We co-authored an article that appeared in the New York Times and was known internationally as the article that started the term the nuclear winter. Over time, I was a featured Sunday speaker at several Bloomington churches presenting on the subject of the nuclear winter. The Carnegie Institute for Infant Mortality and the work of Dr. Sternglass paid us for all of these different efforts. In the meantime, Chrysalis joined the Federation for Egalitarian Communities and was a full member. Joan and I attended board meetings at High Wind in Wisconsin, Twin Oaks in Virginia, the Lama Foundation in Taos, New Harmony in Indiana, and the Vale community in Yellow Springs, Ohio. The years leading up to 1984 were enjoyable. However, my parents began to suffer from health issues. Caretaking as a single child's parent has to be one of life's most difficult tasks. My marriage to Joan started to fall apart. Even my father tried to take his life by taking too much medication, ended up in the hospital. I did sign him out in my name and took full guardianship. He was very nervous, kept pacing the floor. It seemed like a 43-year-old son would have more liberties, as Dad always wanted to control me. One night I ended up returning back to his house, and all I found was silence and a scribbled suicide note. Nothing but numbness stirred in the yard as I waited for the first responders. Once inside, I felt emotionally frozen. I was petrified, feeling quivering. My dad had shot himself in the head and was in the basement. The day of my father's funeral, I also received my final divorce papers from Joan. After taking some time, I decided to move to Twin Oaks in Central Virginia. About 2 weeks before the move, I had hernia repair on my right side, and I didn't realize at the time, but my hernia was severely infected. By the time I arrived at Twin Oaks, after a 12-hour drive, I was just about unconscious. In many ways, I had made a very healthy and stellar choice to join the 80 wonderful individuals of similar values living and working in this well-known egalitarian community. At Twin Oaks, we all had paper forms called labor sheets, and we self-selected our work tasks. My sheet started with 20 hours per week managing and doing the chores for a small herd of Holstein dairy cows, which the community used for fresh raw milk. My management included overseeing a crew of 5 other individuals dedicated to animal husbandry. Over time, I had added about 9 hours of meal preparation. I prepared lunch by myself twice a week for 80 people. My typical lunch meal included soup, salad, dessert, and an entree. Lunch was cooked and served via a steam table, buffet style. Once a week, I cooked dinner together with a secondary cook, and visitors helped in the kitchen chopping vegetables. I also added the title of Sprout Mother, preparing a large jar of fresh salad sprouts every week for the community. I did the community's correspondence and served as safety manager, and also 6 months as assistant visitor manager. Many nights we had poetry nights and boogie dances. During the day we would swim and canoe, lay in the 2-person hammock. We seemed to have plenty of time to do all these things. I added co-counseling training in order to improve my resume in counseling. Patch Adams and his jolly bunch of clown-like medical doctors visited the community quite often. Patch had his life story made famous by Robin Williams in the feature-length film called Patch Adams. It was really interesting to talk to him and his friends. Relationships were varied, but one person I dated, his name Renee, I dressed her up birthday style in a wedding dress and wheeled her all around the community in a wheelbarrow on her gaudy birthday. Speaking of gaudy birthday, tremendous cake was offered to Renee. She just played with it since she was in an alternative universe. Renee and I left Twin Oaks in the summer of 1986. The residence where my dad had shot himself was not available to fix up for sale. So Renee and I did the next best thing. We took off to the Bahama Islands. We flew what was called Bahama Scare to the Exuma Islands, primary city of Georgetown. This also had a beautiful island called Stocking Island. We could take a launch over to that island every day and walk around the beaches. There was almost no one on the beaches except other naked couples. When we finally returned to the United States, a very tall inspector came up to us and holding a ripe conch shell aloft. He said in a booming voice, "Don't ever bring this smelly crap home again with you."